Hello, it's Akayani, and I wanted to share some memories that I have about Cheb I Sabbah. Let me see if I can get this in the. There we go. Hi, it's Akayani Chamberlain of, in this case, Akayani and the Tom Glide Space Yoga on the Dance Floor. And I wanted to just share some memories, real brief, about Chebby and how I met him. I met him due to the gentle nudging, pushing of my friend Josefa Vincent, who, has been working in the, sort of the artistic healing arts community here in New York City for quite some time. And when I was on tour, we're about to go on tour in 2010, April of that year, the spring, to the Pacific Northwest, which that leg of the tour was going to be San Francisco and Oakland and Portland, Oregon, etc. She encouraged me to contact a gentleman that I had never heard of before named Cheb I Sabbah. So I was like, who's Cheb I Sabbah? And she said, you don't know who he is? He is someone you definitely should know about. He is a wonderful DJ, and he, um, really does an incredible presentation of, Eastern sounds. And you doing yoga on the dance floor with Tom Glide, you definitely know who he is, and you two should connect. And I think it would be a wonderful thing that if you did a show together. So I said, okay. So she said, well, why don't you contact him when you're out in San Francisco, since you're going, out there anyway for your tour stop. And I said, all right. So when I was in my previous stop, I think I was in New Mexico or something, I got a copy of Yoga on the Dance Floor and Sanskrit Mantras, the release that Tom and I had done. And I mailed him a copy to his address in San Francisco and wrote a little note and said, I'm coming to San Francisco. I'm going to be there for a few days, and I would love to meet you, and maybe we could do a collaboration together. And of course, really knowing nothing at all about this person, and just thinking, this is kind of a shot in the dark, as it were, and I really don't know how open he would be to such a thing, and to a person really that he's never heard of before. I'm no big name or anything like that, that's for sure. Because of course Chebby has worked with everyone like Natasha Atlas and Zakir Hussain and Talvin Singh and Nusrat Ali Khan and Azam Ali, and it goes on and on and on. I mean, anyone who was doing anything of beautiful, beautiful substance in the past, 48 years, Chebby had worked with them. But at any rate, in the arts and in life, you learn that, taking chances and communicating with people, because at the end of the day, it's about communication. And music is certainly about communication, that you want to listen, to the people that are your coterie and your entourage, and because you can't know everything. So at any rate, I somehow or another got his phone number. I don't remember how, but I ended up getting his phone number. And she said, after you send him the CD and he has a chance to listen to it, you should follow up with him with a phone call. So I did. So it was about the last day or so that I was in San Francisco, and I remember I was walking through the Haight-Ashbury district, doing some errands and picking up some stuff before I was going to take the train up to Portland uh, to do a show at Street Yoga, actually a benefit for Street Yoga, as a matter of fact, a wonderful organization. And I called. I called and I left a message, and I said, "Hello, Cheb I Sabbah. This is Akayani. I sent you a CD. I'm here in San Francisco. I know that you really don't know who I am, but I was encouraged to contact you because we do a similar, um, sort of style of music or feeling of music, and I just wanted to reach out. I was hoping that I might be able to meet with you in person before I leave town. I'm going to be in San Francisco for another 2 or 3 days, and then I'm leaving to go to Portland, so I hope that perhaps we can meet for tea and have a conversation before I go. And my telephone number is, and I left my cell number, and that was that. And I went on about my business, and then um, not long after that, I think it might have even been a few hours later, um, uh, or a couple of days later, much to my surprise, I got a personal phone call from Chevy, um, and I think he left me a message and asked me to call him back. I think that's what happened. Either that, or I was lucky enough to kind of pick up the phone when he called, since it was a 415 exchange, and it was kind of like being in a dream state, really. Um, and so he called me and he said, "Hello, namaskar, Kaini, hello, Davy. And unfortunately, I am not in San Francisco right now because I'm doing a gig, here." And the sound of that gate is actually Raymond Norwood, who drove Chevy around when he got here to Brooklyn later, as the story develops. He said, "I'm not in San Francisco right now. I'm out of town, and things have been delayed, so I won't actually be back in San Francisco for another 4 or 5 days. So I'm very sorry. I apologize, but I won't be able to meet you in person." Um, and I said, "Well, all right. I'm sorry about that. I totally understand. I have sent you a CD, so you know, I guess listen to the music, and we'll be in touch, and have a conversation, and we'll see what happens." So that's what happened, and I felt emboldened and a little, encouraged, I guess, and I started to have a correspondence with him, by phone, etc. And he's always very cordial and very kind, and I said that I had this idea, about bringing him back to New York City, specifically to Brooklyn. And I really didn't know much about Cheb, about his history, about Paris, or even the fact that he had lived here in Brooklyn, back in the 60s, and working with the Littlefield Theater before he migrated out to San Francisco, and so many things. So anyway, I guess eventually, after about a year or so, he came, and after a lot of negotiations and conversations back and forth, and with the venues, etc. And so I was very happy about that because, of course, I was doing my research, in between the time that I had initially made contact, and understood what an influential purveyor of music he is. Um, I hate to say was, because I feel that he really is still, and I feel that we will be learning a lot of things from Chebby for decades to come. He was very concerned about keeping the traditions of North African music and Gnawa music alive. He grew up in Constantine, Algeria. He was born in 1947, and he really had, the great good fortune and blessing of being exposed to music at a very young age, because his father was musically inclined, and coming up with people like Chic Raymond. Okay, Chic Raymond, that's one person. I really don't know a lot about Chic Raymond, but I will know a lot about Chic Raymond because of Chebby, because it's a line of study that I'm going to pursue because of Chebby talking about him and his influence that he had on him. I encourage you to listen to his music and buy his music. He really is the godfather of global electronica. I would say that he most likely is one of the preeminent, if not the preeminent purveyor of world music, what we now call today world music. because he was able to fuse Western sounds, that kind of housey, ambient, almost kind of music-y sound, as it were, with the spicy, percussive, guttural, earthy, gritty, soulful, funky, heartfelt, precise, artistic, clairvoyant, deep, musical sounds and traditions of North Africa and Gnawa, and Sufi. And as he progressed, so many other people that were working in that genre also, like Azam Ali and Talvin Singh, Natasha Atlas, Trans-Global Underground. One of the things that he was very fond of doing was the Gita Jayanti in India every year around this time. It is November 10th, and usually around this time he was going to India to do the Gita Jayanti, which is a celebration of the Bhagavad Gita with his good friend Zakir Hussain, the master percussionist. So anyway, this is all to say how much I appreciate you and how much I miss you, how much I wish you were still, well, you are still here very much. And I want to thank John Halpern and everyone who was involved in filming. And I also want to thank our own Raymond for driving Chebby around Brooklyn and showing him the sights the day before the show at Littlefield that happened. I think it was on DeGraw. Let's see, what's the address I got here? 622 DeGraw Street in Brooklyn. Yep, we did a great show at Littlefield with Gauravani as Kindred Spirits, and Jessica Sinter leading a yoga class, and yours truly. And of course the master Cheb I Sabbah, who had us just in a trance at the end with his fantastic music. And then we wrapped up at Cielo at Deep Space. As he says, Francois K was opening for him. I love Francois K, but in this case, Francois, we must defer to the Cheb I Sabbah, who was spinning for 48 years. And of course the wonderful first night that we had at Rose Live Music over in the kind of Williamsburgy section of Brooklyn. So that's how it was, October 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, 2010, with Cheb I Sabbah. My friend, it was a great honor. Namaskar. Hari Om.